So Daniel Dubois is in the news, guys, and look, he's making boxing headlines. You know, this man has such incredible talent. You know, it doesn't matter where he goes, who he talks to, what he does. People are going to take in his presence. People listen when Daniel Dubois speaks. Now, it's true. He recently fought Oleksandr Usyk. He got stopped. This is a second loss to Usyk, and because of which he did lose his belt. We'll talk about that in just a jiffy here. But he's kind of at a crossroads right now because Dubois made some major changes in his training camp with his managers, etc. Trainers, and now, he's looking at rebuilding because he knows that he has to make these necessary changes in order for him to be able to take the next step. He doesn't want what happened to him last time he fought Usyk to happen again in any of his future fights. So his team, has decided that it might be a good opportunity for him to go down the path of getting another title fight. So guys, I'm not talking about a tune-up. I'm not talking about no soft landing. He wants to get right in there. Now, with all due respect, it's been a while since we've seen Dubois, fight. So I'm sure he's been training. He's been staying fit. And it seems like he's making all the right moves, all the moves that are absolutely necessary to prime him for his next big title run. So let's talk about this, guys, because there is some element of risk with Dubois wanting to go down this path, but he's a boxer. He's an experienced fighter. He knows what he's getting into. And he's not just doing the sport of boxing so he can fight, whichever opponent kind of comes his way. Like any other boxer out there, his goal, his mission is to create a legacy for himself. And while doing that, making a lot of money in return, winning a lot of titles and hardware and gold and all the fancy stuff that kind of comes along with it. So, that's natural. Every fighter wants the same thing. So why not? Why not Dubois? So let's talk about that, guys. But before we get into it, guys, I'm your host, Sheeraz. Welcome back to Duality 7X. And here we cover all the latest trending stories when it comes to the world of MMA, UFC, WWE, and boxing. And you guys, if you like and hear what you see, if you like the content, if you like the real fight talk, all we ask is that you smash the like and subscribe, share this with a couple friends, and hit the bell notification so you guys never miss a beat. And when you leave your thoughts and comments, I read them. I personally respond to each and every one of you guys. So, and I enjoy reading them because a lot of your comments have paved the way for me to be able to create new content for you guys. So that's what's really exciting. So I want to get into this, guys, and I want to talk about Dubois, and I want to talk about his moves as of late. His team is targeting Fabio Wardley, okay? Everybody knows that Fabio Wardley recently came off last year came off an unbelievable victory over Joseph Parker. That was such an unbelievable fight, guys. He had a lot of the top echelon of boxing royalty, in-house, for that fight. Oleksandr Usyk was there. A lot of prominent noble fighters, guys that have been in the scene for quite some time. And it was really good to see. Fabio Wardley is an incredible talented fighter. So it was really good to see him get the notch there and to come out victorious. And then, of course, with the latest news with Oleksandr Usyk, not wanting to take on the mandatory for his WBO title, decided to walk away from it, and the title was automatically awarded to Fabio Wardley. So now he's the WBO heavyweight champion. And so there's been a lot of discussions, a lot of rumors about who's going to fight him next. And my prediction, and I did a video on this not too long ago, my prediction was Daniel Dubois. It would make perfect sense for Daniel Dubois and Fabio Wardley to fight for that belt. Now, it's not an easy task. It's not an easy pathway for Daniel Dubois But I don't understand why every other media outlet is talking about, oh, this is such a risky fight. This is not good for Dubois. What's his team thinking? Why do they want to throw him to the wolves and go for this title run when he needs to rebuild? He needs to like focus on his his next wins and how to strategize and everything after his losses. Look, I'm just sick and tired of hearing this crap because look, at the end of the day, Daniel Dubois is a professional boxer. This is what he does. He fights people. He fights people. Okay, this is not, I get it. This is not just a sport where you throw two combatants in the ring and put gloves on them and let them duke it out and then that's it. It's the end. It's done. No, there's sanctioning bodies. There's rankings. There's titles. There's all kinds of other things that go into a fight becoming a fight. I get that. And it makes total sense. And of course, there has to be some meticulous strategy planning in the background to be able to make sure that the fighters, under your organization are fighting fighters that are going to be good candidates. And I get all of that. But at the end of the day, if you're going to withhold him from being able to win back his title that he lost, because you think that he's not ready, or maybe this is a risky fight because Fabio Wardley is too tough of a competitor, then why is Daniel Dubois a boxer? Maybe he needs to go into something else. Maybe he needs to go into construction. And again, I'm not undermining any job position here, whether it's IT, construction, whatever it is, working in a men's retail store. All of those are great professions. Not knocking it at all, but he's a fighter. And there's a difference between a fighter and somebody who works in retail. If both of those guys, if a man who works in retail doesn't have any boxing experience, goes up against a professional fighter like Daniel Dubois, what do you think is going to happen? So, I mean, I don't have to paint it out, but you guys catch my drift. So this is what he does. This is what he trains and conditions his body and all the mental, physical training that he has to do. He's not looking at it like, oh, this guy's a tough guy. If he's going to go on that merit alone that he should be dodging really tough guys, then why did he take on Oleksandr Usyk? Why is he taking on all these guys? This is the man who, it was a very close fight between him and Joshua, but he ended up knocking out Joshua. So I don't think a lot of people give Daniel Dubois the credit that he deserves, but here we are. And his team is targeting Fabio Wardley. It makes perfect sense. And, there's been a lot of discussions. The other boxer I wanted to mention was Anthony Joshua. Anthony Joshua was, I believe, people from Wardley's camp had reached out to him and said, hey, we'll give you an opportunity to fight Wardley, and you don't have to worry about, going through the whole title eliminator or anything like that, or taking on other fighters to get up to this point. We'll give you first in line. We'll give you the opportunity to jump the queue. So, and obviously, unfortunately, circumstances surrounding Anthony Joshua, he went through a very, very difficult time as of recent, and you guys know what I'm talking about. So I'm not saying boxing is the last thing on his mind right now, but Anthony Joshua's got a whole bunch of other things that are far more important right now that he needs to deal with. And when he's mentally ready, we don't have to worry about him being physically ready, because he's physically ready all the time. But when Anthony Joshua is mentally ready, he'll make it known and he'll come back. But for now, we need to talk about Dubois and we need to talk about Fabio Wardley, because I personally think that this makes the most perfect sense for a fight. Now, this is a fight that could either save his career or it could break it, possibly. I mean, if Daniel Dubois goes into this fight and he loses against Fabio Wardley, then everyone's going to be like, oh, look, Does his name deserve to be in the top echelon of fighters because he lost against Usyk, now he lost against Wardley? Then people are going to start to wonder if whether or not he's even capable of fighting the likes of, say, a Frankie Sanchez or a Chisora, maybe a Wilder, Ruiz. Like, I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. So I don't think that's the case. I think this would be a good fight for Dubois, and I think, look, every fight is a challenge. Just because whether there's a title belt on the line or not, that doesn't, like, a title belt doesn't dictate how great a fight is going to be. I mean, it makes it more interesting, having the opportunity to compete for a title, for a belt, is unbelievable, because that really helps you in the rankings. It helps, for a lot of obvious reasons. Of course, everyone wants to be champion. Who doesn't? That's what these guys fight for. They want to be champion. But if you take away the title out of a fight, that doesn't make it any less of a fight. It's still a fight, regardless of who the opponent is. There's going to be a lot of tough cookies that Daniel Dubois is going to have to face if it's not Fabio Wardley. There's a lot of very, very good heavyweight fighters out there. So need not worry, folks. Don't worry about the risk factor. Let Daniel Dubois and his team figure that part out. All right? You guys are fans, media guys who are good with writing and editing and posting their tutorials, YouTubers, people like myself who talk about these fights, and then the fans and what have you. We'll all do our part. But when it comes to the actual fighting part, leave that to Dubois and his team. Okay? So let's set the table, guys, real quick, and let's talk about this in from another perspective. Like, you got to understand, Daniel Dubois lost his IBF title, okay, to Oleksandr Usyk, at Wembley Stadium back in May of last year. All right? Yes, he was stopped again for the second time, but Usyk, as we have established, is a phenom, guys. He is unprecedented. His skill set, his talent, his confidence, he's really at a different level, head and shoulders above many fighters out there. That doesn't make Daniel Dubois any less of a fighter if he's not at the same level as Usyk. Now, I never said that Daniel Dubois shouldn't be mentioned in the same breath as Usyk. I never said that Daniel Dubois is not at the same caliber or level as Usyk, and I never said that Daniel Dubois is beneath Oleksandr Usyk when it comes to his skill level and talent. I just feel that Daniel Dubois needs to re-strategize things a little bit more and be a little bit more meticulous in terms of his training and how to perhaps maybe use a little bit more strategy when fighting guys like Usyk. That's it. So Daniel Dubois needs to go back, do his homework. He needs to re-strategize and hit the chalkboard and put some formulas together and try to figure this out. Now, at the end of the day, it's going to be Dubois' conditioning and stamina and his fight prep that's going to be able to help him potentially go the distance and even win this fight, should he and Oleksandr Usyk ever fight again. Now, there's a chance that they may not fight, because we're hearing a lot of things in the pipe about Usyk wanting to potentially retire soon, and he's just kind of naming off some fighters that he wants to fight one last time or for the first time, but part of his bucket list, so to speak, before he retires. I think Usyk has accomplished everything that he wanted to accomplish, has done everything that he set his mind out to do when it came to the sport of boxing. So you have to give him that respect. I mean, he's also a businessman. He's involved in a lot of different ventures. Maybe he's starting to see things from a different perspective, and he's looking at life outside of boxing. So you can't hate on the man for that. But in the meantime, should it ever happen, a fight between him and Dubois, I think would be unprecedented, and I think it would probably be absolutely huge. But for now, Dubois needs to focus on what's in front of him, and what might potentially be in front of him could be Fabio Wardley. He is definitely one tough cookie. He is not like the fight that he had against Parker was just superhero stuff. Okay, it was like watching Marvel of like two very iconic superheroes from the Avengers fighting, or if you don't like Avengers, if you don't like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, maybe you like DC Comics, and maybe it was two of your favorite heroes in DC. Whatever, guys. You guys understand what I'm saying. These guys fought with their hearts, man. They laid everything out on the line. Nothing left in the kitchen sink, guys. And at the end, it was Wardley that came out of that. So, look, people are asking, does Dubois need more time? Does he need rebuilding? Now, his manager, Sam Jones, went public and said, look, there's a possibility this fight might happen between him and Wardley. We're looking at maybe either April or May potentially, and they want him. They want Fabio Wardley. No hesitation, no long-term rebuild talk. I mean, the whole rebuild talk. It's like it happens a lot, right? In a lot of other sports, like even outside of boxing, when you got football, soccer, hockey. Anytime a team doesn't do well in the season, and then everyone's like, oh, they got to rebuild, start from scratch and rebuild. Like, what do you mean rebuild? They are who they are. They just need some fine tuning. That doesn't mean they need to rebuild. Anthony Joshua didn't have to rebuild. He took some time off. He thought about what he wanted to do. He came back with a clear head, with a clear mindset, with a proper vision in place, with his focus at hand. And he came out to do what he said he was going to do against Jake Paul. And Daniel Dubois has had he's had quite a long time to think about what happened, where he potentially may have gone wrong in his fight against Usyk, and the things that he could do as a fighter to subsequently improve and build on the skill sets that he currently has so that he can be better the next go around, whether it's against Usyk or somebody else. Obviously, he wants to tighten things up to help mitigate from any of those unforeseeable errors that ever come out in the near future again. So I think with his new training camp manager and the people that are by his side, I think he'll do just that, right? Now, time will tell, of course, but forget about this rebuild chat. It's not going to happen. No boxers are rebuilding. They just need to re-strategize, refocus. And there's a huge difference between that and rebuilding. So this is what's absolutely crazy for me, right? Because Daniel Dubois, right, is came off a very, very huge loss, right? It was a 5th round knockout, right? Again, I mentioned this happened back in May at Wembley Stadium, but with his new trainer, there's been, that's a great thing for Daniel Dubois to have. But the challenge is that whenever you have new trainers, new staff that come on, new personnel, so to speak, there's always that time that you need to be able to get better acquainted with them and for them to get better acquainted with you. So there's a lot of trial and error and things, like it's kind of like when it's like onboarding for a new position, for a new job. There's always going to be that time where it takes a little bit of time to get better acquainted with your environment, your coworkers, your staff, your job responsibilities, etc. And so the same thing in boxing. Dubois it's not like turnkey where he walks in the next day into the gym with the whole new staff and personnel and everything is like, let's go. It doesn't work that way. There is a lot of time that needs to happen for these guys to find that key lock switch. Okay. So that said, having a new trainer, yes, that's fantastic, but it is going to take a little bit of time. And then there was some potentially rumored injuries, which are kind of delaying Dubois' return. That's a possibility. And if that's the case, then Dubois probably, resting up, healing somewhat. And then, of course, people are talking about his mental acuity, his capability, because of his loss against Usyk, did that hurt him mentally, and will he be able to rebound from that? Well, it sucks for anyone to lose, especially in that fashion. Jake Paul got knocked out in the 6th round against Anthony Joshua in Miami on December 19th. Does that mean Jake Paul's finished for good? No. He's going to rebound from this. In fact, I guarantee it. The fighter that we know as Jake Paul is probably itching to wanting to come back now, even though his mouth is probably wired shut, his jaw was broken in 2 places, his teeth were completely realigned, but he'll come back, and he'll come back stronger. And it's that hunger inside you that you can't deny. Muhammad Ali in his retirement would every now and then start to spar and stuff like that. It's just his love, his passion for the sport. That's something that you can't deny somebody, So, yes, yes, guys like Jake Paul will come back, and they want to come back, and the mental, he'll find ways to improve his mental game. And yeah, maybe there was some issues there with Daniel Dubois. I'm not going to argue that, but I'm not going to say that was, that's the issue that he's dealing with right now, and that's the only thing he needs to focus on. No, I mean, I think that's absolutely silly. I think it's one of the things definitely that all fighters need to work on, not just Daniel Dubois. Your mental, your physical abilities in the ring are one thing, but if you don't have the mental, if you don't have the right mindset when you're going into a fight, forget about it. It doesn't matter how strong, how big, how talented you are, you're not going to win that fight. Boxing is 50% physicality, 50% mental. It is what it is. If you don't believe me, ask any fighter. Okay? So Sam Jones kind of laid it out. He said Fabio Wardley is the current WBO champion. All right? That means that this would be a voluntary defense, right? And outside of like Anthony Joshua, who I alluded to, you also have Tyson Fury, who actually announced his return from retirement, okay, just recently. I'll probably do a video on this actually, and it's setting himself up for a potential showdown against him and Anthony Joshua. But you also have his name in the mix, and then of course there's always Oleksandr Usyk. Maybe he wants a trilogy. Maybe he wants to fight Dubois again. I don't know. But right now, Dubois is the biggest name in that list of fighters that Wardley could potentially fight. So this is going to lead up to a big payday for both fighters. It's going to create a lot of attention, a lot of media attention and awareness, but there is going to be some element of risk, 100%. And that risk is not just going to be owned up by Daniel Dubois. There could be a risk to Fabio Wardley as well. He's just been newly crowned, minted WBO champion after Usyk gave up his title. So he walked into that. He walked into that gift, but now he has to defend it. So this could be his first title defense. So how is he going to react? How is he going to articulate his plan against the likes of, say, a Daniel Dubois? So, it is what it is, Sam Jones is applying a lot of pressure. Him and his team are doing what they can to make that fight happen. And, if you want to see Usyk come back, or potentially Usyk take on Wardley, Usyk has no intention of wanting that belt, right? But fighting Wardley, maybe I'll fight him for the challenge because that's the kind of guy Usyk is. He's always looking for the next challenge. So if Usyk's name is put into that mix, then it changes things a little bit, and then Daniel Dubois has some stiff competition naturally. But if you get the likes of Deontay Wilder or Andy Ruiz, potentially Derek Chisora, there's a lot of great fighters out there. But the question comes down to it, who is it going to be? Right now, we know Daniel Dubois is there. He's the biggest name. So let's make it happen, guys. Let's make it happen. So if you want a real fight now, guys, that's the real fight. And we're ready to go. Let's go, guys. Let's go. Because both of these fighters, they're with Queensberry Promotions. All right? There's no promotional mess here. So this is something that Frank Warren is going to have to kind of figure out. And but there is a layer of complexity, added layer of complexity, of course, or complexities when it comes to having two big stars, fighting one another, especially being part of the same promotion. But anyways, the question comes down to is, should this fight be made? So I'm not torn on this. I'm 100% all in. I believe in Dubois. I also believe in the skills of Fabio Wardley. And I think both of these guys are going to put on an absolutely entertaining slobber knocker, the slugfest. It's going to be like that. These guys are heavyweights, and they're going to entertain. All right. I don't think this is rushed from Dubois' side. Some people are saying it is. I think it's absolutely silly. Yeah, with the new trainer, he's still working on his defense, probably his skills, and they're trying to fine tune a lot of things in Dubois' movements, perhaps his overall boxing abilities, and that's going to be that's something that doesn't happen overnight. That's going to be over time, right? So his balance issues and all that. I mean, look, he's a big guy. Those things, he's going to have issues with his balance and things along those lines. But that's why he has people in his corner to help him figure that out, right? So while he's trying to deal with figuring out his movement and all that comes along with it, don't worry about it, guys. Leave him alone. He'll be all right, right? So Wardley is a guy that he can change rhythm on the fly like this. He could be in one stance in one position, and just like that, he can pivot into another one or transition into another one. And he likes to throw punches in bursts. Like if you notice in his last fight against Parker, there were moments there where he's just unleashing a few combos, and then he back off, jab, 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 maybe a right, left, right, and then back off, jab, jab, defense, defense, and then boom, 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 another flurry of punches, and that, that's pretty scary, because when fighters fight guys like that, it's scary for them because they just never know what to expect. And guys like Wardley, he's not afraid. He's not scared to exchange, to trade fights, to trade punches with his opponent. That's what makes it even more overwhelming and challenging for guys. Doesn't matter if you're Daniel Dubois, Oleksandr Usyk, if you're Andy Ruiz, if you're Anthony Joshua. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're Tyson or Holyfield or Lennox Lewis. Guys, when you're in the ring against a guy who doesn't fear you and is not afraid to get into an exchange with you of punches, that's scary. That's scary. Doesn't matter who you are. So anyhow, guys, no matter how you want to look at it, that's going to put Daniel Dubois right into the danger zone, but that's what he likes. He likes being in that zone. And yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens, right? So that said, I mean, it'll be a big British fight, okay? Big payday. These opponents are coming out of like left, right, and center. Okay, probably wanting to challenge guys like Wardley. But Wardley's going to have to pick and choose the fighter that he thinks is going to be the best. And right now, Wardley also, to me, seems like the guy who also wants a challenge. Right? So, anyhow, guys, will Dubois be good under pressure? How's his jab going to be? His balance, his movement? Is he going to be able to handle the 4-6 changes? I think he can, right? I mean, look. Daniel is really good under pressure. Look, he proved it. How he stopped AJ, right? Hrgovic. Who's the other fighter? That's how he broke Miller. So, Oleksandr Usyk, he studied those fights. He studied Dubois really well. And he exposed that issue, right? And so when the movement increases and stuff, Dubois' kind of output starts to drop a little bit. Those are some of the things that Daniel Dubois is going to have to work on, because he has a tendency to kind of drop his hands. He doesn't, there's moments where there's wide gaps from the time he punches, and he can't have that. So I hope those are the things that they're working on in his camp, right? So anyways, guys, look, we know that Wardley isn't Usyk, but Usyk isn't Chisora, and Chisora isn't Wilder, and Wilder isn't, whoever. But at the end of the day, we know that Wardley's active, right? I mean, he steps out, he throws, he exits. I mean, he does all the right things, right? That said, one clean hand, right hand from Dubois, that ends the fight. Dubois is a big boy. he hits you, you're going down. Okay? And on the flip side, if Daniel Dubois leaves too much gap in between his punches, that could expose him to Wardley, and Wardley may use that to be able to leverage off of it and take control of the fight. That's something that Dubois doesn't want to see happen, and nor should he let that happen. So if Dubois wins this fight, then he proves that Usyk didn't define his ceiling. Straight up. If Dubois wins this fight against Wardley, then that's going to put a lot of questions into play against this fight against Usyk. And people are going to say, maybe he just had an off night. He becomes relevant again in the world, in the boxing community. He's right back into the title mix. If he loses, that's 2 straight knockout potential losses. I'm assuming he gets knocked out. Right? The momentum gets squashed. It's gone. Confidence is questioned. And suddenly, hate to say this, guys, all this time I've been talking about how silly the word rebuild is for a fighter, but then does he rebuild? Re-strategize, guys. Re-strategize. Anyways, whatever. Whatever you want to call it. Rebuild, re-strategize, maybe take some time off, come back. It is what it is, right? For Wardley, if win or lose, it's a positive for him. He's got nothing to lose, everything to gain. And honestly, if he wins, then he's legit. A legit, fearsome competitor that probably no guy wants to fight, right? Lose, then he fought the biggest risk available. And he lost. And that's why this fight is fascinating. For me, it's fascinating, guys. Power versus timing, pressure versus movement, right? And confidence. This is where confidence takes on doubt, right? So the opening rounds will tell a story. Either Dubois controls the ring or Wardley controls the tempo. If Sam Jones is correct and this fight happens sometime in April and May, then get ready, guys, because it's going to be big, okay? And so this fight makes a lot of sense, not just on paper, but in theory. And I don't care about the timing because I think it's perfectly fine. Everyone's complaining. Oh, it's not good for Dubois. Timing isn't right. Well, what else do you want him to do? You want him to train for another few more weeks and then the timing is right? Leave the guy alone, man. He knows what he's doing. His camp knows what he's doing, okay? So let me know your thoughts and comments, guys. Is Dubois taking a risk by taking on Fabio Wardley? Or should he slow it down, perhaps? Rethink things a little bit before jumping into the water, and then maybe trying out a couple other fighters and then taking on a guy like Wardley. I don't know. Drop your thoughts and comments below, guys. Make sure you smash the like and subscribe and join us here for more fight talk here on Duality 7X. And I look forward to catching you guys on the next one. Peace.